All right, hello there, YouTube. Welcome back to Build Paralysis, the League. Bruised here. It's been a while. I'm glad to be back. Good to be back. I'm very excited for this league. I'm very excited to kind of really feel like I can really sink my teeth into some good old-fashioned Path of Exile 1 again and really kind of dive in. The new league looks great. The new gems, everything look great. So kind of wanted to give just like an idea of some builds I'm kind of considering. And I will say before I really deep dive into any of this, I have a couple of notes here. If you want to take a look at just specific builds that I have listed here, there will be like the little timestamp on the bar below, so you can skip around to any particular build that you want to look at. If you want to just look at the POB, those will all be down in the description if you want to just grab the POB and be on your merry way. I will try to have the notes section updated with at least some general ideas as far as like where you should path on the tree and gearing ideas and all that kind of good stuff will be there. As a final note here, some of these skills, as of the recording of this video, some of the new skills especially are not in POB yet. And also the gem changes are also not in POB yet. Obviously the league hasn't started yet, so those things are not in there. So I have had to kind of make do with certain other things that are at least like that I view as similar. So for example here, this will be a Holy Strike Slayer that I'll be kind of talking through. But I am using Dominating Blow here as the kind of the placeholder gem. But also you'll notice that the Dominating Blow is level 15 here, and that is because this is close to the effective added damage to that Holy Strike will have. It's closer to like level 15. I think it's right around 400%. So that right there is kind of just like an example. I could go to one other one just to kind of show. I believe it was the Shock Nova here. Yes. So as you see, Shock Nova as well, level 14 here. That is just because we are that's just like the closest that I saw that's like close to the added damage that we're going to be getting. So that's just kind of a very scuffed way that I threw that in there. So the gems are a little bit lower, either lower or higher level, depending on what change happened to them, to kind of match what is potentially going to be happening with those. So anyway, if you want to just skip around and look at that, feel free, go ahead. I just wanted to throw those notes in there before I really started diving into anything. So with that, the first build that I'm going to be talking about here today is Holy Strike Slayer, like I was talking about. So I was really kind of heavily debating on this, and I actually do have a secondary tree kind of ready for this character as well that'll be available in here, which will instead kind of use this roughly same tree, same layout, but will instead be for a slam instead. If Holy Strike just doesn't feel good, or if this is just like too awkward, then instead I would potentially pivot to Holy Hammers. Holy Hammers looks really fun and potentially could be really good as well. And staffs are still really good. So the idea here, the reason why I'm doing Holy Strike as a Slayer instead of something like a Guardian or a Necromancer or something, is because you still have to focus on using this skill as an actual like attack skill, right? Like the whole thing is that the minions gain stats based on your weapon. So you want your weapon to still be really good, and you still need to be able to hit, because you need to be able to hit in order for your minions to actually hit as well, in order for the reflections of your weapon to actually hit targets as well. And so I figured, why not build this as a Slayer, where instead you're kind of focusing on stacking minion damage for yourself, and still building this almost like a normal strike skill that you would. So you focus on kind of building this for yourself and building it as a strike, and you have the minions kind of there as like added damage for you to be using, and like just getting your effectiveness up, and then instead scaling things like Spiritual Aid up here, so increased reductions to minion damage apply to us, and also Spiritual Command over here, so that we're also getting the bonuses from attack speed that minions are getting as well. And then also we're still running staves, I think, because staves are really good. I believe Holy Strike is limited to staves, maces, and scepters, I believe. And of those three classes, if you want to run a shield and do a one-hand mace or a scepter, I think that's also completely fine. But I really like staves. Staves have really good nodes and really good just like effectiveness that they can get. They get crit really well. They just have a lot of good stuff. Also, a lot of the nodes are kind of up here by the Spiritual Aid nodes. And also we can kind of run, I think you can kind of craft a minion staff gem, or a minion staff, realistically kind of easy. You just kind of spam some of the Essence of Fear onto them until you're, until you're at a point where you hit something else that's really good, right? You just have a good minion staff and then scale it that way. So this is kind of the idea, but I'm also, like I said, I'm not 1000% certain that it'll feel good. Maybe it ends up feeling like crap, and I will accept that and pivot over. So this is probably the biggest. If I had to say that I have like potentially a bait build, it would probably be this one, where I'm not very certain of it. It's a new skill. It's a weird way to build the new skill, so it just really might not be good. But me personally, I love doing stupid stuff and finding out if it works or if it doesn't, and seeing if it lands. So I will. This is probably the one I'm leaning towards the most. Also, I love strike skills. I love minion skills. Those are my two favorites. Like Dominating Blow really is one of my favorite skills. I'm actually glad that they buffed the Dominating Blow and finally made some good changes to it. So yeah, I don't know. This will be a very weird one. Another potential avenue that you could go if you were if you like wanted to start something similar or anything like that, is you could also pivot this to a champion Dominating Blow. I've done this build a few times where you use Master of Metal, and then you just scale still. You'd swap out of this and use shields and probably like a sword and a shield or something, something along those lines. And then you would just use just go into Dominating Blow, or you could use a claw as well, anything like that, and you could go that route instead. But since we also convert half of our physical damage to lightning damage with Holy Strike, I wanted to go the Slayer route. Also, Slayer just makes things pretty comfortable. So that is most likely the avenue I'm going to be going. But like I said, I also have a tree in here for a slam, which will be for the if we're going to be doing Holy Hammers, or instead if I'm just like, damn, this sucks, and I switch to Holy Hammers instead, there will be a tree in here that's kind of built like that. I think it's using Ground Slam, and if you'll see over here in the configuration, I have this is from the gem. So minions deal 168% more damage. This is from the gem data that they gave us. And then 50% of physical damage converted to lightning damage is also in the custom modifiers here, because both Holy Hammers and Holy Strike convert their damage to lightning damage. So that's just there, just as a note as well for both of those. If you're thinking that you wanted to do it as a Guardian, you could. Don't get me wrong. Guardian is also good and not bad. I actually really enjoy Guardian overall, and I think that Hallowed Flame thing will be pretty neat as well. But personally, I think it's kind of awkward to build it. I feel like this is like one of those skills that's awkward, because like I said, you still have to build this like an attack. Like you still need to actually have like chance to hit. You have to build your weapon out. You'll need accuracy. You need to have a good enough weapon. You'll have to scale this in kind of a couple of ways, and I think Guardian is just in an awkward enough spot where that just won't really feel entirely feasible. You get really good buffs from them, right? But I don't know if that's going to be the most feasible or the best to feel as far as Guardian goes. I personally, if you really wanted to play Guardian, if you're like, I really want to play Guardian though, I would personally recommend just don't play Holy Strike, and instead just play Absolution. Absolution also got buffed in the same way that Dominating Blow did, and should just be really comfy. And I think with that Hallowed Flame and the other nodes that Guardian has to offer, Absolution will continue to be a very, very strong skill and continue to be a lot of fun. But like I said though, so very, very generally, that's just a quick side note about Guardian. Very quick side note, so all that we're doing here is we're just going to be taking some very general stuff. So we want the melee splash stuff over here. I think Tribal Fury is going to be one of the first things you're going to want to go out of your way to get. And then probably from there, you can almost kind of skip some of these nodes. If I would probably take Cannibalistic Rite and the Mana Mastery, maybe grab some life nodes while you're on the way, maybe the Endurance Charge here from Inexorable. If you're feeling like you're running behind on accuracy at all, take Eagle Eye for sure. But otherwise, I think it's just kind of a beeline up, take Disemboweling whenever. But it's kind of a beeline up to Counterweight here with Smashing Strikes, because those are just good nodes. And you can take the defense, the Global Defense Mastery here. I actually put it up here, but you could put it over here. There's a couple other good nodes there. You're just going to you'll take Devotion, and then make your way up here and take Spiritual Aid. You take Spiritual Aid, you get Sovereignty, and then probably take Purity of Flesh, come up here, get one with the River. You could also take Blunt Trauma. Blunt Trauma is not bad in the slightest. I have Fearsome Force here just for the sake of having my minions crit. And you'll see over here in the skill gems, I have to fill that out too, whoops. You'll see over here in the skill gems, we have Dominated Blow, Multi-Strike, Physical to Lightning, Lightning Pen, LE damage with attacks. But you see I'm missing one gem here. That's because I am planning to use... Let me look at it. Sorry. Scroll up. I'm planning to at least try out its Exemplar support is the new one. Gives your minions critical strike chance, and they gain crit strike chance and crit strike multi for every time that you have struck with a critical strike recently. So if we scale our crit up high enough, then our minions should be critting like crazy and have a lot of crit multi as well. So that's why I went this route over here. Fearsome Force. You could very reasonably take Grave Pact as well if you want. I just think we're really trying to focus hard on the scaling it ourselves and then having our minions as like our backup damage, our backup dancers. So that's kind of what I'm doing as far as all that goes. Steelwood Stance over here, coming over here for Tireless and Steelwood, and obviously grabbing Nomadic Teachings here. All this good stuff just for the sake of having some more resistances, some more life, survivability, get us some rage, armor, all that kind of good stuff. I'll have the rest of the skills filled out. I actually thought I had more in here, but I guess I don't. Same with items. I actually thought I put more items in here. Oh, I didn't save. Okay, that's my bad. Anyway, there will be more items in here. I'm trying to keep this. I'm trying to keep all these bases to right around the level 68, 69 bases, like right around the end of the main act's bases. Of course, this also assumes that you're using a 6 link, but is what it is. Yeah, so that's kind of what I have so far on this build. Like I said, I'll also have a slam version here, so there'll be both versions if you want to take a look, but that is what I am thinking for Slayer. So anyway, that's the one that I am most considering. Next up, we'll move on. Let's see, I have to actually read all these. Yeah, we'll do the Shockwave guy, or Shock Nova. So Shock Nova here, this is probably the one I'm the most unsure of. So if you'll notice, I have 2 versions of this skill tree as well, one with totems and one as self-cast. And if you're wondering what this is a Shock Nova totem, potentially Hierophant, as a baseline. But that's not to say that we are going to be stuck using Hierophant or stuck using just regular Shock Nova. With this, as you can see, it's not like the damage is anything spectacular. We actually have all of our gear in and everything. But I figured that the new Transfigure Shock Nova support might actually be really good, to the point where you could 100% just run it and run it on totems, and that it would have insane clear and actually be really good with a lot of just having those totems kind of just overlapping and using spells on top of each other. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't necessarily know, again, how good those totems or that Shock Nova will be. I hope it's good, because I actually really like Shock Nova. And I don't know if totems would be good for that kind of setup or not. So this is also a bit of a hedge that this would be good, but you'd take, of course, you'd want to be making your way over towards Ancestral Bond as early as possible, cutting through Blighted Divinity and Holy Dominion. Going up here, taking Primal Manifestation, Ancestral Bond, get Sovereignty, Purity of Flesh, get some crit up here with Arcane, all that jazz. It's going to cost a lot of mana, so Tireless for sure is going to be very good. But otherwise, then coming over just for more spell crit, you could take some more area on Blast Radius here if you really want to. We're going to take some more power charges and get Heart of Thunder, of course. Power charges, Arcane Sanctuary, Life. Over here, where we would, of course, be taking the Totem nodes here. Both of those are going to be very good. We have endurance charges, power charges, just because that's always comfortable, and our arcane blessing gives us arcane surge, which is just going to be great. So that's overall just the generic idea with this build. But if it either winds up becoming, this also really hedges on you having the transfigured version of Shock Nova. I don't think that the totems themselves will be very good until you're able to test that new Shock Nova on them. So I do also have a self-cast variant here. I'll swap this around. So now we have a self-cast variant where instead we would go with Inquisitor, get Sanctuary, Pious Path, Righteous Providence, and Inevitable Judgment are all of the nodes we're taking. The tree that you'll see is mostly the same. The only difference with like the gear and everything is that you're more so going to be looking into trying to hit these kind of breakpoints right here, about mid 400s on both intelligence and strength. So you do a very light intelligence and strength stack so that you can hit this 100% crit and guarantee that you are popping things with Inevitable Judgment, so you're ignoring resistances all the time. And then this is just regular Shock Nova. Of course, this is not this would also rely on the transfigured, having the transfigured. So I would probably run around and just use, if you were doing the self-cast, even if you were doing the totem, I would probably just run around and use either like Spark or Stormbrand, because Stormbrand just got a pretty nice buff. I would just use one of those two until you're able to get your hands on it, and then from there kind of pivot and see how it feels, and kind of work through it from there. So that would probably be my recommendation as far as this kind of build goes. But yeah, very much so similar. We're just doing armor ES stuff, make ourselves at least decently thick. We'll have ourselves some setups there. Like I said, I'll have notes here. We have the items in here. I tried to keep them kind of generic. I think this is where I got kind of lazy, and I just used the a lot of the things that are down here, which are going to be the higher level bases. Like if you look at the body armor, it's mostly the higher level bases or the special bases. So I got a little lazy here, but you just use it, just tier it down or tier it up based on whatever you need. But yeah, otherwise we're just doing some light scaling. We're doing some light stacking, I should say, of stats, making our way through Shock Nova with self cast there. And if you're doing the totem variant, then you're obviously going to be trying to scale and grab some more totem things. Gem wise over here, Shock Nova, added lightning pen, critical strikes, damage. Very typical zealotry, determination. Let's see, do we have enough mana? We do. You could probably run maybe even 83 mana. You could probably reasonably squeeze one more in here. Maybe squeeze a discipline in if you want to make yourself a bit thicker. Maybe squeeze just like a skitterbots in there, or if you want some more, if you do just want vitality. I've always found that having any kind of life regen is very comfy. So maybe you just have some kind of life regen or something built in there as well. Conductivity on the totem variant, but remember we do not have conductivity on the self cast. Instead, I just have an assassin's mark in there. But we just have a conductivity in on the Hierophant version, because Hierophants cannot ignore. So not ignore resistances. Flame dash, shield charge, very standard stuff. This will also probably have, like, I'll throw in maybe like a Hydrosphere as well. Well, no, you won't be. I actually don't remember how that works with Ancestral Blonde. I guess I'm actually not entirely sure. Whatever. I'll have some other stuff in here. I'll have just, even if it's just like a defensive setup and everything like that. I'll have a few more gems in here. Sorry again that I'm a little bit scuffed around this. I was really trying to push through and get these all ready for today's video. And then today we have two more to go through. Stormbrand. I actually really like brand skills in general. This is Stormbrand Elementalist. I really like Stormbrand just generally as a skill as it is anyway. I think it's really fun. And they buffed it. It's buffed by a pretty decent amount. I know they made it so that it's less damage with the hits against branded enemy. That is different. That is like lesser, but the added damage and the effectiveness of your added damage as well are both buffed by a pretty good amount, and so I think that Stormbrand will actually be really good. We're running this as Elementalist because Elementalist is still good. Say what you want about golem stacking, the golems are still going to be very strong. As you'll see over here in configuration, I also have put on a global 50% reduced effect of buffs granted by your golems, and that is because that line there, the 50% increased effect of buffs granted by your golems, will no longer be there with this patch. That is being removed. So that's kind of what all I have there. Golem Commander here, though, as far as I know, does still have that same effectiveness. So Golem Commander will still be good, still gives us +1 as well. So that'll still be a very good node. Otherwise, we're just we're taking the brand stuff. So we want to go over here and take Runebinder, of course. We want Runesmith. We're taking some Sovereignty, as always. Safeguard here is also just a nice little node. Kind of lets us connect up this way. You could just connect right here and remove some of these nodes here if you feel like you just want the points instead. You could absolutely do that, but I just really wanted to take Safeguard and kind of just get more life in. The problem I always have with Elementalist is that you are really trying to... There's not a ton of life nodes unless you're really traveling, and so you got to kind of squeeze in as much as you can. So we have Sanctuary and Tireless down here as well, specifically for those mana costs and for the more life as well. Arcane Potency, of course. Arcane Guarding. We're going up here for Brand Equity. We're taking the Brand Mastery for 2 additional ones. We have some more Crit Multi here. This is also a wheel right here. Asylum is one that you could potentially remove if you wanted, but I just like the idea of having some more Chaos Resistance just somewhere on you. So that's just always just something a little bit comfortable to have. But otherwise, just try to get cast speed, try to get Crit Multi, all that good jazz. That's kind of all that you're looking for outside of the rest of that. And then, of course, up here we're doing Leisure of the Primordial, Shaper of Storms, Mastermind of Discord, and Heart of Destruction. Pretty usual stuff. Pretty usual stuff with Elementalist, depending on what build you're going for here. So that's what we have there. Over here, skill-wise, so Stormbrand, Swiftbrand, Lightning Pen, Arcane Surge, Power Charge on crit, added lightning damage. Remember that the Awakened skill gems are gone, so added lightning damage is the only one that you'll get. We'll see if there's some more exceptional supports that are like better to run here as well, but this is just what I have by default. You'll notice that Stormbrand is level 25. Like I said, that is just the roughly closest to where Stormbrand is actually at with the new buffs. That is roughly the level for the added lightning damage. And we'll see. I think that it should about even out, if not be better. All in all, it should even out or be a little bit better. Conductivity, Hydrosphere here will probably even, if you want to make this even cozier, truthfully, you could also set up a, I believe it's Hex Touch. Yeah, so you have slightly less effect of the curses, but this also just means that then you don't have to actually apply conductivity. You just have Hydrosphere here as your applier for conductivity, which is just kind of like a nice thing to have. That's up to you though, personally. And then we have Zealotry, Discipline. You have a little bit more mana. You could throw in something else here as well, like a Skitterbot, like a Vitality if you want some of that life regen, like I was talking about, like a Clarity if you happen to need some more of that regen here. So this kind of like lets you go elsewhere. You could also go for a low life Pain Attunement setup as well. I'm really not going to try to do that, especially on a League launch character. League launch Pain Attunement characters can be kind of iffy. It's kind of like doing a League launch Chaos Inoculation build. It can be a little bit iffy. Can it be good? Of course, if you find the right gear early on, you're still going to be in a extremely strong state. But unless you're able to kind of really get that gear and make yourself better, it's kind of sketchy, at least to me personally. Golem-wise, Flamestone, Lightning, Ice. If you want to, you could swap out Ice Golem here for a Chaos Golem. That'll give you more Chaos resistance. I think Chaos Golem early is probably better, or maybe even just swap out the Lightning Golem or something, but this does give you mana regen and cast speed as well. So would probably recommend more so swapping out like the Ice or maybe the Flame Golem if you want to go that route for some, for a little bit of that Chaos resistance. And then just Flame Dash over here. Pretty usual stuff. I'll also have a probably a defensive, little defensive, even just automation support plus Immortal Call or Molten Shell or something. So we'll have something else in here too, but that'll just be easy enough. Gear-wise, like I said, I'm trying to keep this mostly at the same basis. Sometimes I was lazy, sometimes I wasn't. So trying to keep this relatively light on the bases as far as that goes. And I tried to also make things at least decently like attainable, but I might have messed up in some places. So all that you're really looking for though: spell damage, lightning, lightning damage to spells, global crit multi, spell crit chance, more cast speed, more especially levels. I really just didn't want to put plus levels onto stuff. I think I put plus level somewhere. Yeah, I put one on the amulet here, and that's it. But obviously you're looking for plus levels as well. Plus levels for spells is always super good. So the more sources of plus levels you're able to get, the better that it will be. So that's probably what I would say as well. Really try to hunt down sources of plus levels wherever you can. Otherwise, kind of just generic stuff. Fill your resistances. Make sure you fill your stats where you can. Get yourself some more defensives. If you want to run armor and energy shield, you can. If you want to run just pure energy shield bases, like I have set up here, absolutely you can. But that's just kind of it. And then all of these are also set up as what are their influences? Steering Exarch, Eater of World. These are all set up with those influences. Nothing outside of the ordinary outside of that. It's usually relatively early, relatively easy. You can get those. And I think that's it for this character. I believe we have everything roughly set up. You can toggle convergence on and off if you want to see what your damage looks like with that. I don't think I have... Yeah, I don't have anything else set up for this character. This is literally just all that I was thinking of with Elementalist. Stormbrand is fun. And last, but potentially not least, we have Occultist Traps. And specifically, right now, I have Vortex in here. Now, I really... They showed a new transfigured version of Siphoning Trap, and it looks it looks pretty promising, honestly. I think the damage, let me look at Vortex. Let's see, 2700, and I have it up on the page over here. Let me look. 2500. So very slightly less, but it also gives you more cold dot multi. Does this? No. It also gives you increased cold dot multi on the new siphoning trap as well. Again, it might be awkward, and it also requires you to actually get the new siphoning trap to be able to try it. Hence why I have Vortex in here for now. There'll be a note in here that says eventually try to get your hands on that siphoning trap and pivot to it. But if you don't like how that siphoning trap feels, then we still have Vortex here. And there is, of course, this is just, running it as a trap, and it's simply because if I'm playing a build, or if I'm planning to play a build, like if I was planning to go siphoning trap, for sure, as my starter, I would personally always try to run things as close as I possibly can to the build that I'm going to play. So I would wind up putting Vortex on a trap anyway. But also, you could 100% do this as self-cast. I think I actually do have a self-cast version that I was looking at right here, where I was using Vortex of Projection, where you instead cast Frostbolts and then place down your Vortexes on top of the Frostbolts instead, which I also like that idea too. But I won't have this because I don't really have this set up, and it also kind of really heavily depends on you having Vortex of Projection. So anyway, over here though, we have the trap. You're just gonna throw out Vortex. You let enemies walk into it. It'll deal a good pop damage, and then and move on from there. Occultist is probably your best option there. I don't think Sabo does enough specifically for cold dot traps to where I think he's worth really running. So Void Beacon, Frigid Wake, which is also just really, really good quality of life. Just early on, can't be chilled, can't be frozen, like really, really good stuff. We'll take Vile Bastion and Unholy Authority, and actually even more so Unholy Authority kind of just for making sure that no matter what, we can curse enemies. But you could also take Profane Bloom if you would like. This is also just a really fun one. Just put your curse down, throw out your trap, let him walk into it, and then make him explode afterwards too. That'll also be super good. We have Elemental Overload, Acrimony. Those are kind of like, we have our big scalers here. I completely forgot about these nodes here though, that they added fairly recently that give you increased damage over time with spell skills. Very, very good nodes to pick up. Otherwise, we're picking up as much cold dot as we can. We're also taking like Snowforge so that enemies that are chilled by us are taking more damage. Season of Ice over here for more cold dot. I did come down here. I'm a little hesitant on these nodes here, but it's still reasonably good. Like this is a reasonably decent one. We're not doing crit multi, so high explosives doesn't matter. We also have Growth and Decay over here, so I think this is okay. I feel like I'm not 100% sold on this. Maybe the idea eventually is just to completely cut these out entirely, and instead just put in a Cluster Jewel, and then just go up this way, do like a cold Cluster Jewel alongside the medium trap clusters. That would probably be a little bit more solid. But that's just sort of where we're at. I don't want to put in Cluster Jewels. I really try my best to not put any Cluster Jewels in for League start builds. The idea is that eventually, if you were to run this build, that you'd get to the end game, and then from there you could kind of make your own decisions on where else you want to take the character and how else you want to build and grow the character. That is kind of what I always prefer to set things up with. So we have Sovereignty, of course, and Purity of Flesh, because those nodes are just too good to pass up on. Elemental Overload, I looked it up. I believe it does apply to traps, so this should be completely fine. And then we have just we just have some just generic, otherwise strong nodes that we're trying to throw in. We have a pretty good ES pool over here. If you actually were able to get, actually I don't even have some of the items here. I also didn't save this one, huh? Great. If you did actually have a pretty good energy shield pool like this, I would honestly say you could probably take Chaos Inoculation and then cut these life nodes out and just take some more energy shield here or there and probably get away with that totally fine. But it's up to you. It's up to you. It'll depend on how squishy you feel, or if you're actually able to get yourself to that level of energy shield. But I think that's basically it for Occultist. Like I said, I don't think Sabo's really worth it here. And yeah, I think this is just kind of like the generic setup. So over here though, like I said, we have Vortex, we have Trap, because you obviously need to have that. Trap and Mind damage. Swift Assembly just so that you have a chance to throw out more traps or mines. It doesn't matter that much. Remember, Vortex, you can't... If you have 2 Vortex fields out and an enemy is standing in the middle, they don't take damage from both of them. They take damage from whichever one deals the most damage. Whichever one of those 2 instances of damage are dealing more damage is what they're going to be taking damage from. So keep that in mind when you're using it, but it's just good for clear in general anyway. The more that you have out and there's a swarm of enemies coming in, and yeah, maybe one triggers one on the right, one triggers one on the left, and then they all die. So still a good thing to have, honestly, in my opinion. I still dislike Swift Assembly. And then we have Bone Chill and Hypothermia just for those damage over times. But like I said, if the Siphoning Trap, if you get your hands on that new Siphoning Trap and you run it and you're like, damn, this feels really good and I'm going to be running this the whole time, then you have an extra slot here. You can drop this out and put in drop that out, put in just the regular Siphoning Trap there. Probably put in a Controlled Destruction. Actually, one of these should probably go for Controlled Destruction, actually. I think I'm a little bit crazy. One sec. Yep, Controlled Destruction. Get rid of that. So yeah, you could just get rid of one of these, maybe put Hypothermia back in or something. But yeah, there's a lot of good options to this kind of setup. We have a Creeping Frost over here. While you're leveling, if you don't feel like using traps as well, like I said, you could also just use, you could use Vortex, you could use Cold Snap, you could also use all of these things in tandem. But you have Vortex, Cold Snap, Wintertide brand. Use Creeping Frost as well, because Creeping Frost is really good. Just make sure you just have as many cold dot sources as you can, because all of those will tack in and add up, and they will be really good on top of everything else. We have Frostbite, of course, because it's always going to be good. And then just Malevolence, Discipline, Summon Skitterbots. Probably going to be about as good as we can get, as good as we can hope to get. You might need some sources of mana regen or just ways to reduce the cost of your skills, and that's fine. But with that, I think that is everything this character has. Oh, right. Make sure you come over here and get like Saboteur as well, so you can have more traps placed out at a time. Again, not that we're really stacking the damage, but at the very least, since Vortex does have a hit portion as well, Vortex does hit. For Vortex in particular, this is also kind of good, because at the very least, when you set everything up, and then when all of the hits go off, they'll take damage from every instance of that hit. It's just the damage over time they aren't going to take a ton of damage from. Or that they aren't going to take multiple sources of damage from, which is fine. The hit is going to be kind of the more important part. And then Siphoning Trap, we'll see. You know, if it happens to feel great and like melts through things and is totally worth setting up, then absolutely, go for it. Hopefully it's a lot of fun. If not, Vortex's Trap, or just going standard Cold Dot and dropping the trap stuff in general and just going standard Cold Dot will also be really good. I personally still really want to eventually do a build where I use Vortex and Projection. It's been a while. I haven't done a Cold Dot thing in quite some time. So anyway, I think that's everything I have. I think that is everything that I can think of. Like I said, I'll have some notes for each of these characters. I'll have the items actually completely filled in. I thought I did, so that's my bad. But I'll have as many notes in as I can. I'll have some items in there. Be sure to look at the configuration if there's anything custom in there. And then keep an eye on whenever the POB gets updated. And then you'd be able to go into this POB and just kind of update it. Hopefully with just the gem itself. And then just kind of make any further changes from there. But it should just be adding the gems in and moving some things around. But YouTube, I hope you enjoyed. I was trying to kind of gun through this a little bit, but at the same time still try to kind of go over everything. So I hope that this helps in some kind of way, or who knows, maybe something looked interesting to you. Regardless, I hope you enjoy. I hope you're excited for the League launch as I am. I am super stoked. I cannot wait to get this underway. I'm always looking forward to it. Screw it, I'll throw a link in there too. I'm gonna really try my best to also both stream or record a ton of the gameplay of my League start at the very least, and then throw that up on my gameplay secondary channel. But that's just for the funsies. That's just on the side. I don't know. I like doing it. Anyway, that link will be down below if you want to take a look. But otherwise, YouTube, I wish you a great League launch, all that kind of good stuff. And until I see you next time, stay sane out there, Exiles.